all businesses, especially Black businesses here in the state of Utah, are vital to the economic ecosystem. I'm not carrying you along. We're doing it and creating what the future looks like together. And I have this model that I call the FATSO model, FTSO. You figure that shit out. And it's not really the numbers. It's the impact. It's energy, it's awareness, it's exposure. You love what you do?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Keep going. You're not stressed, you're being stretched. It's something that my mother used to say, people are always watching. I don't care.
If we can just have, no one's heard of you before, met you, just quick intro of who you are, what you do, and what the mission is in your work.
So I am Dr. Sidni Lloyd Shorter. I go by Sidni. I'm the president and CEO of the Utah Black Chamber of Commerce. Our work evolves and involves being community, but our community is an outgrowth of what we do as a Chamber of Commerce, which is ensuring that all businesses, especially Black businesses here in the state of Utah, are vital to the economic ecosystem. And then it's about capacity of having the ability to really grow and sustain your business. And then it's about capital. Capital is about really generating revenue, healthy growth, and potentially creating a legacy.
Oh, wow. That's huge. Dude, how am I supposed to follow up with questions, Yeah, oh my gosh. So I'm going to reword this question a little bit, but I guess now we want to dig in to that, right? So clearly you have a really practical, strategic approach to how do you build Black legacy, especially in Utah, right? Within these families. I guess what's the moment, why did you choose to do this in this path? And I guess what problems are you trying to solve? Why did you see some of these things as solutions to what's happening in Salt Lake?
So I like to approach it more from an innovative standpoint, right? And so we say problem solving, but sometimes you just have to create what it is that you see. And so we can get held by what we're solving for because we're looking backwards. But if we're looking forward, then we're being more creative. And so when you talk about mentorship, right, it's almost like this, well, you all know it all. But we have to look at that as a relationship, and it's mutual because you know more about your generation than I do. And there's so much that I can learn from you in order to help you and us together plan forward, right? So the solving is really in the creating and being innovative, but doing it together and understanding that it's mutual, that we both mutually benefit from it. I'm not carrying you along. We're doing it and creating what the future looks like together.
Nikki, I'm going to go off script, but you reel it back if it's okay. Can I hear? I love what you're talking about, this dialogue between generations, right? And the youth. Can I ask you, from what you've seen, what's your high level thoughts right now of this next generation of leadership, right? A lot of these people right now rehearsing for a show tonight. What do you see? What are some of their strengths? What have you noticed?
So here is the reality: is that I believe that what the next generation is solving for really comes from their creativity, because the truth is the value system is not the same. We do not have the same value system. And so as you are solving for what you're creating value, and that is what you value. We have to support that, and we have to trust that what we're handing off to you, that there's some level of use of what we are giving to you, right? But those values are yours. You have inherently created them by creating what you see as the future for you.
That's beautiful. I love hearing that, especially because, so much of what we do, we run a creative agency, right? So we do a lot in film. Eddie Ekbo, I've been art dealing for him for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I've never heard it in that way. I looked at the show, I was like, are you hearing this? It's so cool. I'm like, oh my God, after responding to you, I want to just listen, That's huge, and I agree. I think it's so cool to just acknowledge, the value system is different. There's kind of this art renaissance, especially in kind of our circles. There's such a dedication to the arts and you know, creativity here, to the point to where, you know, I don't think we've had like a super strong infrastructure to push, especially like, you know, people of color, like creativity in the city. But I guess the gift of that has been nice because the creatives that are left have this conviction that I don't always see everywhere. And I don't know, I think it's really cool to see that, you know, you even acknowledge that I want to support that. I guess one more on this topic, and then I guess we'll kind of go back to script. You talked about that the value system's kind of different with like our generation than yours. In the value system, if there's like a Venn diagram, what do you think are some of like the shared values between, you know, like generations, and that will help kind of us guide how can we ask for this support a little better and have it, like you said, be like a symbiotic relationship. How do we provide that?
I think, especially coming from diverse communities, marginalized communities, we care deeply. That's what we share, although the values are different, right? For my generation, it was all about education, right? Because we cared about what our status was going to become because of the education, right? But now we live in a time where in the systems of education, we're now being told again, that's not where we want you. They don't say it, but they create policies that ensure that it's hard for us to be a part of, right? And so by doing that, you don't really care about that. Like, you know, I can move forward without, I have figured my way through it. And I have this model that I call the FATSO model, FTSO. You figure that shit out, right? And so that's what,
Oh my God, that's my favorite.
yeah. So that's what you end up doing, right? But I want to go back to a statement you just made, and I want to give a little bit attention to it, because when we find ourselves in environments like this, considered a small population, right? We tend to think that the numbers really matter. And it's not really the numbers, it's the impact. And so we're lulled into thinking, I mean, because we can make the data look like anything. We can pull a data set and we can make those numbers look good, or we can make those numbers really look bad. But then no one talks about the actual impact. One of the things that I see here, and I've shared before, in the diverse and minority communities, is that there's an intentionality around creating community. But we've been lulled into thinking that the majority demographics, like they're all together and everybody sticks together. And that is such a myth. They do not. And what's important for our communities, if I could draw it, I would draw it. But it's not a matter of, we're not a monolith. Right? We don't all think alike. We may share some things, and we do. There are a lot of things that we have in common. But what's important is that we are connected. Because we're connected, we both benefit from the areas that we can move and really influence and make a difference. And as long as we agree to share the things that we know in order for us to collectively move forward, that's how collective transformation happens. We're not a monolith.
Gosh, this is so good. So I'm gonna go back and like listen to these after, like a ton. It's such a gift doing these to get to like kind of hear these for the first time. You know, one question I had, we talked a little bit about like impact, right? It's really important. Impact over numbers. I love that. It'd be really great if people listening to this now heard what's the kind of impact something like tonight has on the community, right? Like, you know, arts, culture celebrated, also this panel, you know, what's impact that people should realize happens from these kind of things by not just, you know, getting everybody together, but like you said, making an effort to connect. Yeah.
I think it's energy, it's awareness, it's exposure. Right? And so energy resonates. Energy will resonate beyond this building, right? If there's a feeling that you get, that's one of the things we hear consistently about a chamber of commerce. Oh my gosh, I came to the event and I just felt so good. I could feel the energy in the room. I could feel. We want to do that. Because looking at the fact that we are a chamber of commerce and it is inherently about business, at the core of all of that is people. And our goal is to reach the people. We understand that we cannot be everything to everyone, because at the end of the day, our mission says that we're going to ensure that you can at least move the needle and be successful in achieving your vision or your goal for your business. You can't do that without the person. And we do take the time to get to the person so that we can help you with your business. And I'm one of those that I'm a recovering entrepreneur. That's how I identify, right? And so, but understanding oftentimes we hide behind the title.
This next question's a little selfish, but I think a lot of people are gonna resonate, especially, my peers here. But for people that have been making years of hard work into this, right? A lot of us have thrown events, no one shows up, or we take a huge loss, and like you said, kind of moving the needle, sometimes it feels like we're not. What advice do you have, I guess, for especially leaders of colors in Salt Lake to keep going in this kind of work?
You love what you do?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Keep going. Because it doesn't matter the number. I believe one of the biggest flaws, and you can tell where passion lies. And you look at the arts, you look at entertainers, you look at creators, right? And you see that those who are successful will tell you they play to an audience of 4. And now they're playing to an audience of millions. The only difference is they didn't stop. And what did you give the audience of 4? Do you just do it lackluster because the other 400 weren't there? Or do you give the 4 your 100%, and those 4 leave there with the energy and have been exposed to your talents and your gifts, and now they're talking about it? Because if it's only 4 that showed up, you don't want just the only 4 to just say, yeah, that wasn't about anything. But if they walk away and say, man, the show he just put on, or wherever he goes the next time, I'm going to be there. That's how it happens. But when you say, I'm not going to give it my all because it's just 4 of you there, what disrespect. They spent their time, their energy to come to see you. And you're not going to do it because the others didn't show up. It's the others' loss, not theirs. Your best customer is the customer you have right now, right? And so far too often our egos say, well, no one was there. No, the show goes on. Anyone successful will tell you, I played to a crowd that wasn't there. I did a podcast and it was just me, but I did the recording. And now people are listening. Do you just turn it off and not record? Or do you record and just put it out there? Yeah. You still give your best because the assumption is that's what you showed up to do. So don't do anything different than that.
Thank you. Damn, I almost cried. Your first response was hard because Shay would listen to this and she'd just hear whimpering in my mic, and that would suck. Thank you. Holy crap. Yeah, that was selfish, but thank you. I think that is going to be fuel to keep doing more of this. We have I don't know. I've been telling Shay I've been stressed all day, but it's like a privilege to stress about the right things, and I think it has been that way.
Okay, I have a quote that I learned today. I went to a dance class today up at the U. You're not stressed. You're being stretched.
Damn. This is so valuable. This is seriously so valuable. Thank you.
Give credit to Raheem for that.
Raheem?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm gonna start bringing it to a close on these, but I think, especially for me, I think people listening to, they're gonna listen to everything that you're saying, and they're gonna see, what you are, right? How much strength there is in what you do, and I think there's gonna be a lot of people admiring you and want to reverse engineer, how can I become this, So I'd like to bring it back down. This is one of the scripted questions. I think it'd be valuable to hear some of the obstacles you faced in your work, especially starting it, being a Black woman in Utah.
Am I?
Is there another way I should phrase that?
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Am I a black woman in Utah?
Yeah. Is there?
Or am I a black woman in creation?
Mm,
Because I'm black everywhere I go.
yeah, I understand. I
Yeah.
understand. I keep trying to put it in Utah. Your
Yeah.
story's so much bigger than Utah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we do ourselves a disservice in Utah because we make Utah our container, right? But you have to exist beyond here. And understanding that the world is bigger than Utah. And are you someone else because you go to Denver or go to Colorado? Are you? No, yeah. So I say it that way because we have to be clear of who we are.
Yeah.
We're so big on labels, but that is not the sum total of all of my parts. I believe I'm much more than just a black woman,
Yeah. Of course.
right? And so to just be defined by my physical appearance is very limiting. So that's how I've overcome obstacles, understanding that I'm not limited to that.
Yeah.
And if you're uncomfortable with just what you see physically, that's your issue. That's not mine.
I'm going to reword how I heard that because I think that's really powerful. I'm using it for myself too. But, it's awesome because, I'm asking you for what are these obstacles, but I mean, your way is like that obstacle doesn't exist. It's this imposed obstacle the world's putting on you. I did it just now being like in Utah, right? So a lot of that is that the obstacle like doesn't really exist.
Yeah. And you get to really prescribe your reality because you get to choose how you respond to what the obstacles or problems are, right? You do. Most often we lose sight of that. Now, is that easy? I wouldn't say it's easy. What I've had to come to terms with is understanding that I'm worth it. That's the reality, that I'm worth it. You seem to be happy about everything. No, I'm not. But I choose how I respond. I choose what I internalize. I choose what I ignore. I choose what I care for. And there's a difference in caring and carrying. And far too often we are carrying issues of others that are not ours. And I can truly care for you and not carry it.
Thank you. I think this has been so information rich, I think this is one of those cool moments where it's like, this has all been such reframes and like life-changing knowledge. And it's cool because I know it's just the tip of the iceberg, which is crazy. I want to do way more.
Yeah.
You guys, I would love that.
Would love to.
I'm going to start bringing it kind of back down again. I think I want to be able to now give kind of like a pill-sized message, right? Again, in choosing your audience, that room of four, I think to me the room of four are people that like really want to, for the sake of not themselves, but like you said, like legacy and specifically like being able to give the manual to also create legacy. It's this like compounded thing. I have a 9-year-old son. It's a lot of who I do my work for. So I guess for that room of four people that we've already established they want to evolve the community, the community is important for them. What like one message do you have for them right now?
It's something that my mother used to say, and she was good. She raised me, but she would say people are always watching. I don't care. They can watch. And for the most part, that's what the generation now says, right? But I'll use your 9-year-old for an example. It does not matter what you say. He sees you, and he's going to emulate what he sees, not what you say, especially if what you say does not align with what he sees you doing, right? And so that's what we really have to, when we look at the next generation, and I talk about how we have failed to a certain degree because we've got books and volumes on all the things we've said, but there was a generation watching, and what we said and what we did didn't align. And so I had to take a personal responsibility to start course correcting. And so now when I truly say I don't care what you see and I don't care what you're watching, because I am very intentional and invest a lot of energy to ensuring that there is alignment, and whatever you see, that it is of enough value to you that you may want to emulate it. Not perfect, by no stretch of the imagination, and I have to own that, but I do give it the effort and the energy to really do it in a way that someone else may want to do it.
Thank you. God, that's so hard to cry quietly. I totally cried. Thank you. I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I needed that one.
Good stuff.
Oh,
Thank you.
I know, thank you. Oh my God, dude. Can't hide it. It's too real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome to our world.
Oh,